Teach MSA 501, the graduate course, which is on emotional intelligence through the Masters of Science and Administration program. And I also serve as an administrator at part of the time for AAD 102. So if a student was to come in and they have been suspended or dismissed, they would meet with me or Jane Johnson, who is the assistant director. And so we handle all of those students. But I love the fact that you want to have this presentation for educational purposes, and we were having a lovely discussion before you all came in. So thank you for actually being late, because it was great, because we had a chance to have a little bit of one-on-one time and talk about some potential other resources and connecting. So that was wonderful. So what we're going to do is we're going to let Mandy introduce herself so that they understand what her role is.
And I organize the international orientation as well. So people come to me when they need, advice on that. And I'm terrible at introducing.
That's okay, you're fine. You're fine. And Mandy's brand new with us this semester.
I'm new with this, so that's even more fun.
So that's one of the reasons that Mandy is actually here for this training, because she doesn't have the knowledge about this stuff either. And so we're trying to make this purposeful by gathering you and helping her understand what is available to every student.
Sorry. Is your office under like the advising office, or is it just like with the international office?
No, it's under the advising office.
So we're all downstairs in Ronan 250. Okay. We're going to talk about some services that are available first, and Nicole's going to run that part, and then I will talk to you about the probation, suspension, and dismissal component.
Okay, first we're going to talk about our tutoring services. As I said before, we do undergraduate tutoring for all 100, 200, 300, and 400 level classes. There are a couple exceptions in there because of walk-in tutoring. So when do you sign up for a tutor? You don't want to wait till the end of the semester when it's getting close to your exam time. You want to come in as soon as you realize that I'm going to struggle in this class, or I don't quite get these concepts, I need a little more help outside of what the professor can give me. Come into our office. There's just a couple quick forms. Basically, it's just giving us your information and what class you want to tutor in, and then we do our best to match you up with the tutor. So as an undergraduate student, you get 3 free hours of tutoring a week. That you can split up between your classes. If you need help in 2 or 3 classes, feel free to sign up for tutoring in those classes. You just need to manage your tutoring time so that you know, okay, I did an hour and a half on this subject, I only have so much time to split on the other subjects. How is a tutor assigned? We have, all of our tutors are students here at CMU who have taken the class, who have gotten an A or A- in it, and they've gotten a professor recommendation. So they've all been in your shoes as a student. They know, which professors are a little bit harder, or which professors, want you to learn it this way, and which ones want you to learn it this way. So they're a great asset for you because they've been there before. They know what you're struggling with, what they struggled with, and they can help give you tips. So they come in, we hire them through our office, and then we will give you that tutor's information as soon as you come in to sign up for your tutor, if we have one available. Sometimes we run out of tutors for the classes. Just to give you an example, chemistry is a highly requested tutor class. So we run out of those tutors within the first couple weeks. Like I think right now we're out of chemistry tutors already. So you want to make sure if you are in a class that you think you're going to struggle in, you come in the first week to sign up for your tutor to get one. So then we'll give you the tutor's contact information. We ask you to reach out to the tutor to set up your tutoring time. You and your tutor will work out when you're going to meet, how often you're going to meet. Some people meet twice a week, some people only need to meet once a week. It's whatever you and your tutor can work out, but we ask that you set up that weekly schedule so you're on track every week and not trying to catch up. So if we don't have a tutor, like the chemistry classes, we still take your information, we put you on that wait list. Don't walk away and say, oh, they don't have one available, I'm not even gonna sign up. Because we're always looking for tutors throughout the semester. We're always reaching out to professors, asking them for recommendations for tutors. So get on that list so you can, eventually you'll work your way up to getting the next tutor that's available. So we get recommendations from the professors, we bring in the tutor, interest them, train them, and then at that point, once we've hired somebody, we'll send you an email with their information, and then again, it's your responsibility to contact the tutor to set up your tutoring. So math is one class that we don't offer one-on-one tutoring in, and that's because we would not be able to keep up with the demand for tutors. The Mathematics Assistance Center, it's referred to as the MAC, you've probably heard about it. They have multiple locations. We have a flyer to give to all of you. It's just walk-in tutoring. They have students available in their tutoring centers that can help you out. So that is a great resource for you to use for math classes. It also incorporates any statistics class. So there's a psychology class that is done through the math class because it's a statistics-based class. So a couple of them can be done through there. So 4th floor of the library, all math, statistics, Psych 211, Sociology 200. Those are all done at the library. There's also, in the towers, they also have a center. It's a little more limited on what classes they can tutor. They don't have, I think, the Psych and the Social. But that's another resource if you're in that area. Writing, tutoring services, that's done through the Writing Center, also the 4th floor of the library. They have a couple other locations, but the main one's the 4th floor of the library. If you have problems with your papers, bring it in there, and there's somebody there that can read it over with you, help you proofread it, give you suggestions on maybe some structures of your sentences, that kind of stuff. They do set up appointments. They also take walk-ins. But you might want to set up that appointment to make sure you have time to do that. That's a great resource for students that I don't think everybody uses, and they should.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you can utilize that Writing Center for a psych paper, for statistics paper, for any paper on campus. It doesn't just have to be English 101 or English 201. You literally can take it your senior year, take a paper there, a research paper.
Even as grad students, you can go there.
Yep, smart to use them.
I think a lot of the grad students utilize it more than
they
the
sure
undergrad
do.
students because they went through that and they realized, okay, I need someone else to look at this. So then other services, other classes that you have that you would like a tutor in, reach out to us, come into our office, fill out the form. If we don't have a tutor available, we're gonna search for one for you. So, we're located in Ronan 250, which is right downstairs. There are other walk-in tutoring services that are available. The accounting, it's one of the student accounting groups. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but they do walk-in tutoring. It's all the students within their group that do it. I haven't gotten those times yet because I don't believe they set it up until a couple weeks into the semester. So once I have that information, I'm gonna have that at our desks downstairs. So if you want it, feel free to walk in. We have a whole sheet of information for tutoring centers. CPS, they have, I believe it's just one night a week, they'll have tutoring. I haven't gotten that one yet either. They have a student that'll do tutoring for all CPS classes. Chemistry, they have, it's called the PAC, I believe it's peer assisted chemistry. I'm not sure what this is, but it's a walk-in tutoring. They have tutors that are available for basically any of the 100 classes, the 300 level classes. Sometimes you need to go at specific times to get a tutor that can do that. But they have many times throughout the week that it's open, and from what I hear, their tutors want you to come in. They need the work. They want a lot of times they're sitting there without somebody. So that's a great resource, especially since we run out of tutors early. So, I mean, the hours that they have tutors available, there's no way you won't have time in your schedule to get in there, so. Psych 211 has started with their own grad student tutor that can help you out. I believe it's just one night a week, and again, this is another resource that I'll have downstairs once I get all of this information together. And physics does walk-in tutoring. They are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night from 6 to 9 p.m. and then again on Sunday, I believe, from 4 to 7. And they're all in Dow 231A. They have at least 2 tutors working every time to help you. So that's another walk-in. I have heard that if you wait until just before a test, it's gonna be busy in there and you're gonna sit and wait to get your help from the tutor. So don't wait until the test. The ones that are successful are the ones that are going every week to keep up on it, and they're there every time that they can, so. Okay, do you have any questions on the tutoring? No? Okay. All right, supplemental instruction. This is something that not a lot of people on campus know about, but this is an excellent resource for students. Sometimes you'll hear it referred to as just SI. So it's a program that has been set up and is used throughout universities, I believe worldwide actually. And we look at classes that have been historically difficult for students to pass. So they're gonna be for classes that have a high rate of having grades of either D, E, or a W, which is a withdraw. So we're gonna look at classes that a lot of students, they aren't passing it, and it impacts a lot of students. So a lot of the classes like Chemistry 131, Bio 101, math classes, we have quite a few for that. So they're all UP courses that we offer them for. We have 23 that we're doing this semester. I am still figuring out the last couple room reservations right now. Once I have that information, again, we'll have that at our desk downstairs. I can also email it to you, so that way you can pass it out or email it to others who would like that information. But what these are, we hire students who have taken the classes. These students go in and they attend the class with you. They're taking notes based on what the instructor has gone over for the day, and then they're setting up their own session to go over with you. So and it's typically about an hour for every class period. They're gonna have a session either, most likely the next evening. And they're actually a lot of fun. I wish I could attend them all. I see all of the stuff that they do. They have amazing games that they do. They have a lot of fun. They do a lot of hands-on activities, group work. I really wish I could attend these. So, yeah. But these students that do it, they're amazing. And they also have an office hour downstairs in Ronan every week. We have that schedule, and your leaders, the leaders for the classes, can also give you that information. So if you need, maybe a little one-on-one information from a session that they just did, feel free to stop into their office hours. They love it when students come in. They get so excited when they have a student come in. So please come in and make them feel loved. Do students benefit from participating in SI? Most definitely. We keep, we keep track of students' grades that have attended SI, and it is typical for students who regularly attend SI sessions to receive a grade at least 1 grade higher than the class average. So, that could be putting you from maybe a B to a B plus, or from a B plus to an A, something like that. It really is a great resource for you. The SI leaders are so into it, they just really love it. So that's a great resource for you. Do you have any questions on SI?
Do you have the list of the classes?
I do have the list of the classes, and I'm hoping by the end of the day I should have the
that
room
you have it in the
reservations.
office?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, so once I get that finalized, I will give it to you, and then we'll have it printed off at our desks downstairs too. You can always just stop in, pick that up and go, so.
Course, just as Nicole spoke about, is that it's increasing your grade over and above what the class average is. So that's really important, because in these courses that are more challenging, class averages don't tend to be very good, right? We're talking about this low C average for particular classes. And so when that's bumping you up to that solid C, when it comes into my part about talking about suspension and probation, a solid C is a 2.0 GPA. So that's an important piece, so take advantage of that. So I get to talk to you a little bit about what happens with probation and suspension. So a couple of the things here is that the university reserves the right to cancel the matriculation of any student at the end of a session. Okay, and this is the part where students sometimes get confused, because it's when the GPA falls below a set standard based on attempted credit. That's the word that causes students problems, and we're going to go into specific detail about that so that you have a good understanding. So, attempted credits are any credits that have been transferred into CMU. So if you attended college in your country and you transfer them over, that would be considered credit. Okay, so many students who attend community colleges here, that would be classes that have been over for credit. This is the part right here, where all classes that have been taken at CMU. And so any class that you've withdrawn from is considered an attempted credit. Okay? Any credit that's received and incomplete is an attempted credit. Any class taken as a no credit class, or the 0-hour classes. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but the credit, no credit, and 0-hour classes sometimes are falling under the English Language Institute. And so then when a student may be enrolled for 3 classes of ELI, and maybe they're enrolled in a Math 105 course, for example, and they get a C-, it's a 1.7 GPA. Okay? And so based on a number of attempted credits, it may actually throw them into a probation, suspension, or dismissal range. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But that attempted credit hour is the thing that is most confusing. And this is what is in the bulletin. And this is actually available online at bulletins.cmich.edu. So bulletins.cmich.edu, and it's under academic policies, and you will find this. So the probation range that are set based on the number of attempted credits, okay? And so at any time a student's GPA falls below this probation range, they fall into a dismissal or a suspension range, okay? Suspension and dismissal are different. And we're going to talk about what those differences are here in just a few moments, okay? But this is available for you to view and understand in the bulletin. And I highly recommend take time to just peruse through that, refer other students to it so that they have a clear understanding. Because ELI credits are counting towards attempted. So maybe you have 1 to 18 credit hours. Maybe you take that math class, you fail it, and then your GPA is down to a 1.49. And then you're in trouble, and you're suspended if you're a first semester freshman, first semester transfer student, or dismissed if you are after that first semester. So one thing that students don't realize is when they are dismissed or suspended from the university, they cannot re-enroll in any classes at the university unless they're readmitted. And so that term is called rematriculation. And so we want to give you some information. So for this semester, up and coming, December 23rd, all students will be notified of their academic standing, okay? And so on your grade portal, we are actually going to send email to those students who have been placed on probation, suspended, or dismissed from the university. So you will receive an email that indicates if you are one of those 3. Now, if you're in academic good standing, you don't receive any email. Okay? But if it's probation, suspension, or dismissal, you will. And the key is that email gives you very specific instructions on what you need to do to possibly be rematriculated. Specifically, there's a call-in date that you have to meet by that time. So please make sure at the end of the semester that you check your email on the 23rd. Okay, let's talk about probation. And so probation is that cumulative GPA, and I'm just going to go back here real quick to our little thing. So this is the academic probation range that is set by the university. And so at any time, based on the number of attempted credits, your GPA falls in here, you're on academic probation. What happens when you're on academic probation is that you receive an email. If you have any form of financial aid, students receive an email from the financial aid office that indicates they're on financial aid probation. It means that they have one additional semester to attend the university. If they don't do so by that second semester on probation, their financial aid will be dismissed. They won't have any financial aid for the university. Okay? So that academic standard comes into play not only for the academic standard, but also any sort of financial aid that students receive. Okay. The other thing that students don't know, if they are on academic probation 3 semesters in a row, in a row is the key point. They're dismissed from the university at the end of that 3rd semester. Okay, so even though they're not suspended the 1st semester or dismissed the 1st or 2nd semester, they potentially can still be dismissed from the university with that 3rd semester in a row on probation. Okay, so if you can share with your peers that you always need a GPA of 2.0 or higher, we're on the golden road. Right? We don't have to worry, we don't have to feel nervous. We're in good standing, okay? That's a sort of a good way to remember that. And then like I said, suspension and dismissal occurs when those attempted credits, all those things that I talked about, are below that probation range. Now, I need you to understand the difference between a suspension and a dismissal. Suspension only occurs for students that are here for the very first time for the 1st semester, or if they're transfer students for the 1st semester. Okay, that's the only time suspension occurs. Okay, so if they're in that same standing that next semester after they've been rematriculated, it's a dismissal. Okay, but suspension is only for 1st semester freshmen and 1st semester transfer students. And again, it's that cumulative GPA based on attempted credits. Okay, now, what happens is we have a very, very small window at the end of this fall semester and the time that our spring semester starts to rematriculate students. So in that email that I was just speaking about a little bit ago, when I talked about the dates, we will tell you, you need to call in on these 2 days between 8 and 5 o'clock. If you call in on the 3rd day, you may not be rematriculated if you're a suspended student, because we don't have the time to process paperwork, we don't have the time to look at schedules, get you set up with an advisor, we don't have the availability to do that, okay? So following those deadlines is really, really key for that, okay? Now, if you call in between that 8 and 5 on those first 2 days, you're going to speak with someone about a personal interview, and they're gonna talk to you about what happened. Why were you struggling? What can we do to make sure this doesn't happen again? Okay, so there's a whole host of questions that they ask you. And that, for suspensions, that interviewer will make the decision typically if the student should be rematriculated right away. But that's only 1st semester freshmen, 1st semester transfer students.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
It feels like in the ELI classes in level 3, so that freshman year or you?
It's only that, it's your very first semester you set feet on this campus. That's an excellent question, actually. Yeah, and that's where students get confused. But it's that 1st semester your feet are on CMU's campus. Fabulous question. So that's an important part. And so if that interviewer determines that, yes, we can make sure we're setting you up to be successful the next semester, and we can give you all of the resources that we possibly can at the university to make sure you are not dismissed at the end of the semester, then we'll rematriculate you. There's a lot of things that go into that decision, and it's a personal base, because some people have difficulties with family concerns that pull them away. Some people have substance abuse or mental health issues, major health issues. So for some of those that are more severe, like if it's a substance abuse issue or a serious mental health issue, that's not gonna rectify itself in 2 weeks between the fall semester and the start of the spring semester. That problem's not gonna be gone. And so for us to take them in right away, again, we're setting them up for failure. We're not willing to do that. We're likely to say, okay, I recommend you attend a community college for a semester. I want you to go to individual therapy. I want you to address these things so that you are healthy, so that your mind is healthy, your body is healthy, and you can come back and be successful. So you're gonna call us at this specified date and time, and then we'll speak to them again if they're suspended or suspended students in particular. So if they're rematriculated, they have to take a identified class that we have, which is AAD 101. Now that class is not optional for any student to enroll in. That is specifically only for suspended students who come back. They're required to pay a $35 rematriculation fee, and they have to bring us a receipt for that. They have to fill out an application form, and they also have to fill out an essay. And they have to bring that to their instructor the very first day of class. Yes?
For the email you were talking about on the December 23rd.
Yes.
Is that only for people who are suspended because they were only for 1 semester year?
Great question. No, it's actually for students that are on probation, students who are suspended, and students who are dismissed. So it's going to any student that has had a GPA less than a 2 point.
So for them, all of these three all have to do an interview and attend that class too?
Not necessarily, and I'm gonna tell you the difference between that in just a moment. So excellent question, hold on for a minute, okay? Okay, so again, remember, suspension only occurs the first semester you set your feet on CMU's ground, and if you're a first semester transfer student, okay? And so, dismissal is occurring again based on the number of attempted credits based on the GPA. This is for any student who have had their feet on the ground from the second semester forward. Okay, so dismissal only occurs people's second semester and forward, based on the information. Now, this is right out of the bulletin. Consideration for rematriculation: if you're dismissed, you have to be away from the university for 1 year. Okay, that's our standing. So if you have been dismissed, you have to be away for a year. And then you apply for readmittance to the Committee on Rematriculation after enrollment at community college full-time, which is really, I can't stress that enough. It must be full-time, okay? And you have to attend the fall and the spring semester. We do not consider summers as a semester because it's not during the typical academic year. I see a question on your face.
So I'm just thinking that.
That's okay.
If students are dismissed,
Mhm.
do they, then they cannot come back until after a year, right?
Correct.
Okay, for that year, they have to go to the community college, or like, is it okay if they didn't go and just like?
They have to attend because you have to demonstrate that you can be successful academically with a full course load, okay? Because let's just say they were to work for a year. They haven't changed any of their academic patterns. They haven't, what I'm gonna talk to you about in a little bit, is they haven't replaced any of the courses in which they had grades less than a C-. And this is really important for several reasons. So we have the students go to a community college and we tell them that we want them to repeat any course that they've had, that they had less than a C- at CMU. Because when you transfer that back into the university, what it does is it gives you credit for the class. So let's say Math 105. was one of the classes that we failed during our first semester. So I'm gonna go to Mid-Michigan Community College, and for that spring semester, I'm going to take Math 105 equivalency. So that when I transfer it back in, it's gonna give me credit for Math 105, but this is the other piece that it does. It takes that low E grade out of your GPA calculation and raises your GPA. So what it's doing then is getting you farther and farther out of the way of being in that constant academic dismissal range. Because if we were to take a student that's been dismissed right back into the university immediately, 9 times out of 10, they are dismissed again the next semester because they can't get their GPA up based on the number of attempted credits over the required GPA. That's the part students don't understand, so I'm going to say that one more time. What happens is, if we were to rematriculate a dismissed student right away, they don't have the ability to get their GPA up over that 2-point mark so that they're not dismissed again. And if you're dismissed 2 times in a row, you're gone for 2 years before you can return to the university. So that's why we have the policy in place. That's why we want you to attend community college full-time and replace those courses so that we're getting your CMU GPA raised so that it's an academic good standing. Does that make sense, gang? Okay. So, again, I've got it sort of stated here for you. Are you sure there's no question about that or anything that I can answer? Yes, sir.
What does it mean about full credit?
Okay. So when you attend full-time, so I want you to be in 12 credits. If you were to, so all of you are dismissed, okay? So I'm gonna say to you, I want you to attend a community college for a fall and a spring semester. I want you to attend full-time. Full-time by the university standard is 12 credits or more. And so, and I'm instantly gonna, so if you had Math 105, English 201, Anthropology, and History, and you failed all of those courses here at CMU, or they had grades that were less than a C minus, so that means even Ds, I want you to go to Mid-Michigan Community College and retake those courses. Because they're gonna come back in here, because you're gonna have to repeat them here at the university anyways, because they're requirements in one form or another, whether it's your competencies, your university program requirements, or their major or minor credit courses. Okay, so you're gonna have to repeat them. So we want you to repeat those courses so that you transfer them back in. You do not get the grade that you got at the community college, but you get credit. And so when that credit comes in, so we have a GPA calculator. What it will do is it will take those low points out of the calculation from the grade that you failed if you transfer in a crediting course, which then raises CMU's overall GPA. Because we want you to be 2-point or above when you come back to CMU, so that we have your feet on solid ground. Yes.
Sorry, I just need to ask like the new students.
Oh, sure.
في أحد هنا يدرس لغة؟ ولا يكون جامعة؟ جامعة؟ Sorry.
We're good?
Yeah.
Yes.
For the, you said that summer does not count
Correct.
in the community college. For my brother's case, when he wanted to go to the community college, they put him on the spring semester, and I think that's what they call the summer semester.
Thank you for recognizing that. What you gotta realize is that it's CMU's fall and spring semester. Community colleges tend to have a fall, a winter, and a spring semester. So their spring is actually the summer, what we consider summer.
And that does not count.
It does not count. No, it doesn't mean the credits that you take during then don't transfer back in, but it doesn't count as being away for that full amount of time. Because that may be only 8 weeks worth of classes when we're looking at 32 weeks is a total that we want you to be away from courses. Excellent point. Thank you for bringing that up. Anything else that you can think of in regards to that so far? It's really confusing, right? And the important part, as far as what students don't realize, is that I'm not trying to say, Nicole, I don't want you at CMU. It's just not important to me. I don't know you well enough to want you to be here. So I'm not gonna make an exception for you. That's not what it is. What it is that, Nicole, I am really concerned that if I have you come back right now, the statistics are against you, the odds are against you. Based on the numbers I need you to have for CMU, you're going to be dismissed again. And I'm setting you up for failure. So in good standing at a university level, I can't bring you in to fail you, because that's not what I want to happen. I want you to come in, I want to connect you with all of these resources that we were talking about earlier, so I can make sure you're passing your courses, so I can give you that degree when you're done here at CMU. Okay, and that's the part, because it's really easy to take it personal, right? Even though you don't understand that that's a standard that we're setting all across the university. Okay, does that make sense, folks? So these are the recommendations that I have. Yes?
Sorry, I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say this. For the community college classes, they have smaller classes rather than here, like you have like a really big class
Yes.
with more than 100 students.
Mhm.
So it is, I think it is better and easier for students to study there, so they can get like, I don't know, like 101 kind of a thing.
Exactly, you're exactly right, because it's smaller and it's more in that personal piece, and particularly if it's a class you really struggle with, like just in general, students across the university struggle with math. And so if it is that, when you can sit down in that small class and the professor may even wait to go to the next part the following class period because the students haven't gotten this part, where at CMU, no, there's no waiting. We have to, by being a 4-year institution, get all of this material covered by the end of the semester to meet what we're required to do. Where a community college, oftentimes they may be private, so they have a little bit more flexibility in what they can do. And I tell all my students as freshmen, okay, the very first week, do any of you struggle with math? And half my class's hands go up. And I'll say, how many of you are in a math class right now? Half my class's hands go up. So I always say to them, I'm gonna give you an assignment overnight that I want you to think about between now and my next class. When you walk out of that math class, after that very first day of class, and you walk across that door, I want you to ask yourself this. Are you walking away going, okay, I liked the professor, the size of my classroom was good, I looked through the material in the book, I remembered some of this from previous training, I can do this class, I gotta make sure I'm there, I can do it. Or do you walk out going, oh my goodness, I don't know if I'm ever gonna do this, I'm terrible at math, I don't feel confident, but you know what, I heard about the math center in the library, and I know that I saw these 3 really smart ladies in the front row, and so I'm gonna set up a study team to meet with them, and if I do it, and I work hard, I can pass it. Or do I walk out of there going, no, this class not for me. Just know I'm gonna fail it. Just know it. So if you're gonna do that, you gotta find a new class. You dump that math class. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm like in the freshman year in CMU. So I heard from some of my friends that any classes that are hard. So can I take class in CMU and class in Michigan?
That's an excellent question. Technically, yes, you can. This is what I would say to you. Take 12 credits here and take that one class that's hard for you at the community college.
Oh, so they can split the 12 credit between?
If your payment system allows that, you could, right? You could potentially do that. It's a great recommendation. What I see students do is they'll pack themselves up with 15 credits here, and they'll take 6 credits at the community college. You might as well hang it up, you're gonna fail. You got too much on your plate. It's not humanly possible to be successful across the board, okay? But if you do 4 classes here and one at mid that you're really struggling with, makes sense. It's very smart, very, very smart. Great question. You guys are asking fabulous questions. I'm so excited. Okay, so this is the thing that I say, because I meet with the students. They come and talk to me, and so, or they talk to me on the phone if they've been dismissed. Okay, and so what I tell them is any of your competencies, so your English 1, English 201, your math competency, and your oral speech. Get those done at the community college. It's cheaper, it's easier, it'll be a grade that you're gonna feel good about getting. Knock those out. The UP requirements. So anything that doesn't deal with your major that you're required here to take at the university, take them there. Because you know what? They're not gonna be as interesting. And so your motivation to really wanna be there and work hard on them is not as high, right? That's natural pattern behavior. But if you get a C there and pass it, great, because you know what? That grade isn't transferring over. Credit is transferring over to CMU. So it's okay if you got a C in it there. Does that make sense, folks? The other thing I say is if you have these done, then work towards major or minor classes. Okay? Now, I have actually had seniors at CMU that have been dismissed. They have 3 classes left. 3 classes, and they fall below the range, and they're dismissed. And the same policies hold up to them. So it happens to everyone throughout your entire career. So always, 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 the lowest grade, if you say to yourself, the lowest grade I'm ever gonna accept is a C+, no stress, no worry, you're doing great. You never have to worry about being under that academic good standing rate, because that is actually a 2.7 GPA. And below the 2 point is where we get into problems. So that 2.7, that's pretty great, right? Because like our School of Business requires a 2.5 or higher, so that instantly gets you in there. Now if you're in a teaching program, you have to have a 3.5 or higher. So then that means you have to have B pluses or higher in classes. So it depends on whatever program you're going into. So that's an important piece to look at. So community college, you're gonna repeat those courses. And then this is essential because I see it happen all the time. So the student has attended full-time, they've been away for a fall, they've been away for a spring, they come in and meet with me, and all of a sudden when I get their transcript, I'm seeing that they've had withdrawals on their transcript and they've had grades less than a C-. If that's on your transcript, you're gone another semester. Okay, because what does that say? It says that you're not managing the academic load successfully. And so the likelihood of you coming back to CMU and being successful is not good. And again, I don't want you to fail out of CMU and be gone, because at the university level, if you're dismissed twice from the university, you will not get into any other four-year institution. That's really key. Your whole education can be done as far as four-year institutions if you're dismissed twice. So that's why we have such stringent requirements, because we're trying to make sure that doesn't happen. And so as a student, you cannot have any withdrawals, drop courses, incompletes, grades less than a CPA, C-, grades less than a C-, and you have to have a 2.5 GPA or higher.
What about dropped classes?
Cannot have any.
Like even if it's like in the first week, if they drop.
First week, that tends to be okay. Some universities use withdrawal drop classes synonymously. What we're talking about is on the transcript when it would actually show that it's been a class that's been withdrawn from. University lingo would be withdrawn. Some classes, if it's the first week, most don't show up on that transcript. That's okay.
And
Okay.
if it's on the second week,
Then you're in
that's
trouble. Yep, because it says you overscheduled yourself, you didn't investigate the class enough to know you could be successful. All those things about pre-planning to have a good education, okay? So lots of thought goes into that, okay? So, when do you call? So students that are dismissed at the end of the, let's go down here. Students that are dismissed at the end of the fall semester, so let's say this fall, you are going to call us in October a year from now, okay? So that you could enter for the next spring. Spring semester students that are dismissed in May, they're gonna call a year from now in March, okay, for that next semester. That assures they're gone for that 2 semester time, okay? let me tell you about the interview. And so you're gonna interview with me or Jane Johnson, okay? And I wanna know what happened, okay? The thing that I don't wanna hear from a student is I just didn't study enough. If I study enough, I'll be fine. I'm a psychologist. So brain behavior is my specialty. So that's probably not a good plan to tell a psychologist I'm just gonna study enough. And I always tell students that I'm a psychologist when they come in to meet me, so that they are a little bit mindful to know you need to be a little bit more thorough on your answers. You need to make sure you're talking to me correctly. You have to have a plan. I wanna know what's the reality. Now, this is the thing. If you tell me, well, I was partying all the time, or I was sleeping all the time, okay, I can accept that, right? Because you're being honest. That's okay. That's what you did? Okay, so did you learn from that? And then I want you to give me the plan on how did you learn from that? What are you gonna do different? That's good thinking. Does that make sense? So it's an hour long, okay? We sit across the desk just like this, close and personal. You would have to pay a $35 rematriculation fee. Nicole would send you an application. There's a letter that you have to do, all of that sort of stuff. When you are in an interview with me, we make 2 plans during the interview. We make one plan for if you're rematriculated to CMU, these are the classes you're gonna take, these are the resources I want you to associate yourself with. I want you to meet with what used to be called UAS. I'm not sure, Registrar's Office for pre-grad audit, because you're getting close to graduation. I want to make sure we know exactly what's left for you, so those are the only courses you're taking. I may tell you to repeat courses. I may require you to be in a class that our department offers, which most of the times that's a requirement, because we want to be there to remind you what you need to do and make sure that GPA is high enough, okay? Hold on one second. The other plan is if you're not rematriculated. So if you're gonna go to a community college and now all of your UPs are met, your competencies are met, what I would say is I want you to work towards getting an associate's degree. Students underestimate the value that is a degree, and it is something to be proud of, both on, when we were talking about resumes earlier. Does that make sense, Kane? Okay. And what happens is if it doesn't, and I would say to you, you're gonna have to attend a community college for another semester. Actually, our students from Nicole would say that to you, because they're the ones answering the phone when you call in. So this is key. So all the things that I told you about the requirements to make sure we're doing repeating courses, getting your competencies done, your UPs, making sure that you have a 2.5 GPA. I'm gonna say it again, no withdrawals, no incompletes, no drop classes, and no grades less than a C-, and your transcript shows that, then the likelihood that you're gonna be rematriculated is pretty good if you have a solid plan on how you're gonna be successful during that interview time. Does that make sense, Kate? Okay. So, transcripts that come in between December and January, we have a tiny, tiny window. So if that transcript comes in after that date, the student will have to be gone for another semester. So again, we have very specific criteria, okay? So now that I've covered everything, what questions do you have? Yes, ma'am.
About the communication college. If the student wants something like diploma certificate or something like that, can he get it or something like that?
Say that to me one more time.
Diploma certificate, diploma.
From the university or community college?
Community college.
And what you do is you speak with the advisor at the community college about that, and yeah, you should be able to get that if you meet their criteria.
So how many times?
Would you have to attend?
Yeah.
That's a good question that I can't answer because I'm not the community college expert.
Perfect.
And I would hate to tell you a certain number and find out it's wrong. So I would rather refer you to the community college. I apologize for that, but I don't want to mislead you. Yes, sir.
If I have a diploma from the community college,
Mm-hmm.
I can transfer all my credits that I take it from diploma to the university to
As
complete
long
my
as
under.
they're, yep, and that's a good point. As long as they're called transferable credits. Okay, so when you meet with an advisor at the community college, you would want to say to them, I want to make sure all of the classes I'm taking can be transferred over to CMU. Okay, and most of the times they're pretty good at Mid-Michigan about that, Mid-Michigan Community College for the most part. But it's an important statement that you make, that you want to make sure it's transferable.
You also have to pass the class.
Yes, you have to
It will
pass.
not transfer over if you don't pass the class.
Right, yep, you have to have a C- or higher in the classes for them to transfer over. Good, good. What other questions? Yes.
When you said the associate degree, I did not understand what you meant about that. So
What that means is that your university competencies, your competencies, your university program requirements, and additional credits have acquired what they call a 2-year degree. And that's an associate's degree. And so if you were to go to the community college and you're a student that's attended there for a semester and you're transferring credits in, which is a great resource, yes. And we actually have pamphlets to pass out on success coaches because they do a wonderful job. And it makes you feel like you're not here alone, that you have someone that you can go and ask questions to. Because a lot of times we don't know where to go, and so then we just don't ask them. Where a success coach, you can actually go and ask them those questions. Good. What else?
So where are they?
They are right downstairs in Ronan 250. Everything is downstairs. So good. What else? Academic milestone and goal that you're making gains on that. And so a lot of students get an associate's degree from Mid-Michigan in computer sciences, and they go to work right away. They don't get their 4-year degree. So it has a lot of weight to it in relation to some of the businesses that are out here. Good question. What else can you think of? I know it's a confusing process. I've tried to give you as much information as possible. I also know I talk very fast, and I apologize.
you said we can go to the register office for an audit. I know what that is, but I don't think the others know.
Yeah, absolutely. When you go for an audit here at CMU, when you go to the registrar's office, you have to have signed your, is that where we're going anymore, pre-graduation?
They're done by advisors.
Oh, they're done by
Yeah,
advisors
so
now.
you schedule it through our office.
Okay, so it's through our office. They just changed things. So I'm still learning too, but I can still tell you what the audit is. She'll tell you where to go to get the audit done. What they do is you have to have signed your major first. And if you are looking at a minor, you also have to have signed that minor. And then what they'll do is they'll look at all the classes that you've taken that are required by that major or minor, all the requirements for CMU competencies, UP requirements, and some of your degrees require what's called additional area requirements. They run between 18 to 24 hours. They'll make sure you've met those and that you've met a whole host of requirements such as 124 credits to graduate. You have to have so many credits that are 300 level and above. I mean, there's all these things that you have to do to actually walk with get your diploma. And so when you meet with them for that pre-grad audit, they'll say, yes, you have this, this, and this, but you don't have this completed yet. And so then you know in the following semesters, you need to complete these particular courses. So it's really nice because then you have a piece of paper that you can figure out when you're going to graduate. And you know exactly what's left and you know exactly what you need to do every semester. That feels amazing. Because otherwise, sometimes we just feel like, I don't know what classes I'm supposed to take. And it's very confusing and frustrating. And that's not good to feel that way. And so when you have that paper, it feels pretty great to know that you're this close to getting it done. So I would recommend all students by the time, again, you have to have that major or minor signed. I would say by the end of your sophomore year, first 2 weeks of your junior year, you truly should be looking at getting a pre-graduation audit done so that you know where you stand and you have that paper. That's the key. Okay, good question. What else? I don't have all the answers, obviously, but you can call downstairs and Nicole knows. Yeah, they changed a bunch of things as far as what did they change this semester so the students are a little bit aware.
We used to be UAS, Undergraduate ones who would get your transcripts from other colleges. They're now all under registrar, so it's kind of more of a one-stop area for help for transferring credits, the credits you've taken here, that kind of stuff. We have a ton of advisors out there now all over that can help you. They can now do your pre-grad audits. They can help advise you for classes. A lot of resources out there.
That's the other thing that I would say is try to make sure that all of you meet with your academic advisors every semester. And I don't know if they have you do that or not, but you truly should. Because you always need to know where you stand in regards to your education. You need to be just as knowledgeable as the advisors. And the only way to do that is repeatedly go and see them and make sure that you're on track for graduation. Besides, they're really there to help you.
I think there's advisors and there's faculty members who can advise too, so what is the difference?
Our academic advisors help you with registering for classes, those sort of things, where your professional advisors are specific to your major or your minors. And so they're the ones that you may go in and do academic research with, if it's a faculty advisor. They actually, now wait a second, they're signing, okay, I just want to make sure they didn't change that. They're the ones who are signing your majors and minors. Your academic advisors don't sign the major or minor, okay? And so get to know them for whatever major you're in. So important for you to get to know them in their office hours and that, because if the class is challenging for you, they're the first line that you go to and you ask for help from them.
What's the difference between the advisor and the coaches?
Oh, the success coaches, that's a
Yeah.
really good question. Success coaches are truly there to help you with like time management issues. They can help with additional studying. They can help you connect with resources. I know they do occasionally do some recommendations for classes, but that's not truly their